Happy 4th of July weekend here on Fantasy Focus. We got ourselves a mock draft on this episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. That means I'm Derek Tate. That's Sam Holt. Sam, we've got ourselves a special mock draft edition on this Sunday, which is July 5th. No one ever gives any love to July 5th. It's always all about July 4th. Give me your thoughts. July 5th, Fantasy Debate, mock draft time, SFBX mock. Give me some thoughts.
I mean, any day's a good day when you get to do a bunch of mock drafts, and there's the big Scott Fishbowl drafts are starting tomorrow. So all day, today, yesterday, everyone's been mock drafting to build up. I'm just excited to be a part of it and excited to jump into this draft as we go.
So you can go ahead and explain, because I'm not even invited into this league, and that's fine. I mean, whatever. I missed my opportunity. I didn't play along on Twitter, which I need to be a little bit better about. But however, you are in this league. This is a huge league. If you want to talk a little bit about the league, talk about the format that we're going to be drafting in to kind of give a little bit of context to this episode in mock draft.
Sure. So Scott Fishbowl League has a lot of crazy rules and a lot of different things, but the main points are it's a super flex league, so it is basically 2 QB format, tight end premium. So you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks going early. You're going to see a lot of tight ends going early. And it's really just, you don't see a lot of wide receivers going too early in these drafts. Actually, if anything, it's filling up on these other positions, and then it's a slew of wide receivers. So it's been really fun doing a bunch of these different drafts and kind of getting used to different formats and how people are doing it. So you're going to see a lot of different things in this draft compared to other standard 12-team PPR leagues. So it's fun. It's definitely weird because you see people going back to back on tight ends because you can play 2 tight ends as well because they're at a premium. So you could see a team that has 2 tight ends before it even has a receiver. So it's pretty crazy.
So what I would call a little bit weird is you're getting docked points for passing completions. Also, pass touchdowns, 6 points per passing touchdowns. You get points per completion for a quarterback. So for me, this seems like a quarterback-friendly league. You can start up to 2 quarterbacks with the super flex position, 4 flex positions in total. Other than that, it's kind of standard with the 1 quarterback required to start on a weekly basis, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end. It's a tight end premium, too, which that's always a little bit sneaky. I play in a couple tight end premium leagues. It always feels a little bit odd to take like Travis Kelce or George Kittle in the first round, but it kind of comes around to pay dividends if you're in a tight end premium league because those guys give you such an advantage.
Yeah, no, it's definitely weird. And I'm going to be drafting from my phone, so I am up next. And Christian McCaffrey was first off the board, and then Lamar Jackson second. So again, this just immediately jumps to the format that we're going to be seeing, which is a lot of quarterbacks early. And I myself, because of this and because of the format of scoring, I'm going to be taking Patrick Mahomes at the 103 position.
See, this is where it's odd because I thought that there was – I'm not in this league to give a little bit of context, but when you have –
You're on the clock, by the way.
I know I'm on the clock. So I'm taking my time here. I'm letting it marinate a little bit. See, it's such a quarterback-friendly league, though, with pass completions. You're getting points for that and being docked
for interceptions.
Docked for interceptions. I mean, this is Jameis Winston's nightmare if you were playing last year with Jameis Winston, but it feels like it wouldn't be too much of a reach if I wanted to go with Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, any of those guys, Deshaun Watson, if you want to throw him in there. But I don't feel as if the value is there where I want it to be to take a quarterback that early with a guy like Saquon Barkley still on the board. So I'm going Saquon despite the league being very quarterback friendly.
I mean, I don't think that that's a bad pick because honestly, like I said, I've done a couple of these mocks now, and I've been loading up at other positions and trying to see what running backs I can get later. And man, it's tough. When I actually do this draft tomorrow, I'm probably going to take more running backs sooner just based on how my team shakes out at the end. I mean, you can wait on a position like receiver in a league like this, and you'll be fine. But if you don't have a good starting running back, that is a really tough beginning spot, I think.
It's always tricky when you're trying to play catch up at running back. Now, we're going to be doing a draft day template strategy series here on Fantasy Focus. By the way, if you're just joining us for the first time, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, click the bell so you get the notifications, all that jazz. But as far as when you go 0 running back, it's a format that can work in PPR leagues in particular, but it still just doesn't. It's not for the faint of heart, because you get to round 5, round 6, and you don't have a running back yet, a running back 1 or a running back 2. It feels uncomfortable almost, because I'm so used to going running back early, at least snagging one within the first 2 rounds. So if you want to go with that strategy, you can certainly load up on tight end, quarterback in this quarterback and tight end friendly league. But having like your number 1 running back is guys like James White in the past just don't really do it for me, even though I've hit home runs on rookie running backs in the past, namely like 3 years ago with like Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt. But it just depends on if you feel like you have one of those committee backfields pegged. If you have like a Rojo that you're super high on, if you're high on like Jordan Howard or something like that, then you can find value at running back later.
I don't want those guys as my number 1 running back.
Hey, quick promo though. We're going to have Lauren Carpenter on next week here on the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate on Saturday, September 11th. So real excited. She's on this mock draft.
September 11th?
No, my bad. My apologies. July 11th. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to, talk our way to fantasy football in September.
Yes. No, there's going to be a potathon that day as well. So there's going to be a lot of fun fantasy football stuff coming up this coming Saturday. So guys, definitely tune in and subscribe if you haven't already. But so it's interesting.
So let's go ahead and run down some of the picks that have already been made. Christian McCaffrey, 101. Lamar at 102. You went with Patrick Mahomes at 103. I went Saquon. Then Zeke, Michael Thomas, the PPR machine. John went with Alvin Kamara. Any surprises here? Does anybody scare you off? Like with even rumors of Dalvin Cook potentially holding out. Is there anybody in particular that you're kind of scared away from right now at this current moment?
I think for me, the only player that really scares me in this round 1 would have to be Cook with the holdout. Obviously with a mock, I feel like you just kind of want to see how your team shakes out. So I don't mind, even if I'm mock drafting, taking someone like Cook. However, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. If he's someone that you really like for next year, given the situation of current things and events, a lot of players are dropping out of, the new playoff format that the NBA is going to be having, for example. So there's players that are going to start doing that for the NFL season as well. I think there's going to be some that maybe they have a very special circumstance with their family. They have a family member that maybe has a different, immune system, or they've been very cautious of COVID during this entire thing, and then they're very concerned bringing it home. So maybe you're going to start seeing some players say they don't want to participate because they're concerned with the epidemic. But as far as just individual players going into mocks right now, the only one in this round that worries me is Dalvin Cook. How about you?
So Dalvin Cook doesn't, of course, whenever anybody threatens a holdout, of course, you have to give it some credence. We look at Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, just examples of the last 2 seasons. Yeah. But in particular, I think that Dalvin Cook, I expect to be on the field as much as he could potentially hold out. He's had one really healthy season since he's entered the National Football League. So, and yes, it was a fantastic year. And I believe that the Minnesota Vikings' way to being contenders in the NFC are through Dalvin Cook. But he'd be the only guy that really I hesitate on. A little bit early for someone like Miles Sanders. We saw Dynasty Beard take Derrick Henry, but prior to that, Ryan taking Miles Sanders at 9 overall, and then Josh Jacobs at the 11th spot.
Yeah, that's a little early for my taste on Miles Sanders, but I know Ryan, and I believe he's very high on Sanders, so that's not really as shocking of a pick for me. When you talk to a couple of these people in the fantasy community enough, and you know who's high on who, so you kind of see someone, okay, I see you. I see where you're taking him, Ryan. If Miles Sanders blows up this year, I know who to go to, who said to take him early. So to me, that's just a bit early. I'd rather have someone like Henry or Jacobs there than Sanders. So how do you feel about Miles Sanders? I feel like there's a lot of hype right now.
There's a lot of hype, but there's a lot to like about Miles Sanders. So they got rid of Jordan Howard, which it made me a little bit concerned that he was essentially splitting carries with Jordan Howard when Howard was healthy to begin the year. You can say it was the rookie getting off to a slow start, not getting fully acquainted with the playbook, whatever have you. Sanders is extremely explosive. I love his skill set. I like the offensive line there in Philadelphia, and an offense that should be far more explosive with all of the talent that they've added on the outside. So Sanders should benefit quite a bit from running into soft fronts, because if you want to go ahead and play the dangerous game of having no safety help over the top on guys like Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor, and Quez Watkins, then you got to pick your poison. But Sanders had a lot of his success against very porous run defenses. So I'm not that bullish on him to where I'm taking him over the likes of Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, going into a league specifically with this format, and with the type of people that I know I'll be going up against when I do this draft, I'm going to be going with what I know are sure things. And I don't know how many risks I'm going to be taking. I would think I'll take more risks with my dart throws in the last rounds. But when it comes to these early positions, I don't think that I'm going to be drafting or reaching, I should say, on anyone that I wouldn't normally. Got to stick to my guns here. I want to play safe. I want to play to win. I don't want to get fancy. Although I did take Mahomes at the first spot. So I guess I did get a little fancy.
Well, there's so many strategies that you can implement, with the wacky kind of scoring format that this is, that's so favorable to quarterbacks that complete passes. Also with tight ends, we have not seen a tight end come off the board. We finally just saw one at the first pick of the second round with Travis Kelce, which, I mean, Kelce, a guy that you get an extra half and a point in a point per reception league as it is at the tight end spot. No one's better at that than Kelce, arguably Kittle. But I'm surprised that, Kelce went in the second round, to be honest with you, given the format.
No, I agree. And right now people in the chat are also saying, they're surprised that a tight end hasn't been taken yet. And I know that tomorrow when I do see this actually happening live, we're actual teams. And there we go. We see Kittle going when Kelce, Joe Mixon, and then Kittle. And I feel like those, if they're not back to back, they're going to be very close when they do to get taken. Now, the drop off at tight end, do you feel like it's going to still be too early to take the next tier? Or like Mark Andrews being the next one that you would want to take? Do you see him going to the third?
him or Darren Waller, or you can throw Zach Ertz and Tyler Higbee into that conversation potentially. But as we just saw, Kenyon Drake and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, two guys I absolutely love in PPR formats for the 2020 season. Speaking of which, people that are kind of jumping in live while we're doing this show of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate of the SFBX Mock Draft. So we got Victor Jace, gotta love the intro song. What's going on, Victor? We got Dried Ocean saying July 5th is just simply inferior, as Nick Chubb gets taken by John at the midpoint of the second round. Very light on quarterbacks. I mean, basically the big names have gone with quarterbacks and at tight end. So I'm interested to see where this goes from here, as I'm 2 picks away. Tommy Garrett, hey there, everyone. Feeling unprepared for tomorrow. I'm not even in this draft, so I'm helping everybody prep for a draft that I'm not involved in. Congratulations. Muhammad Sanders is good, but taking him that high is not good value. Again, if you believe in a player, that's the counter argument. If you think he's the breakout player, then you plant your flag and you take him where you know you can get him. And Victor saying that I was hoping for Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Drake on the rollback. You might have been right, my man. It doesn't matter because I'm not even sniffing them at this point. But we got Lauren on the clock, and then it's Zach, and then myself, and then Sam.
So who are you going to take from me? Because when I saw you make your pick for this draft, I know you went right next to me just so that you could snake my players.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Actually, it does. But anyway.
Actually, it completely does, because we're both super competitive. I want to take each other's peoples.
Well, it's again, I know that we like a lot of the same players. We think a lot alike. So I do want to present a challenge and put you in positions that kind of make you think, kind of put you off your game, so to say.
I get it.
I am. I'm sorry. But I mean, so when we're looking at this with the 2 quarterbacks and the 2 tight ends going with Kittle, Kelce, Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson, I'm certainly keeping an eye on what quarterbacks will fall given the format and how many points that these quarterbacks can score. Lauren had to auto pick, and unfortunately, given the format, she probably would not have gone Julio Jones after going Michael Thomas in the first round. And then Aaron Jones goes immediately after that. So right now I'm staring at the face Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I'm not in love with any, even though there is a tight end premium, I'm not in love with any of the tight ends at this current position. But I do see one player in a PPR format that I'm a huge fan of, and it's Austin Eckler. And Eckler paired with Saquon Barkley, I think they're both going to give me top 10 production at the running back spot. And despite it being a quarterback friendly draft, tight end friendly draft, there's nothing wrong with having PPR machines at running back.
Absolutely. And I think that makes sense. I had to go with Todd Gurley here because I'm really excited with him being inserted in this new offense in Atlanta. And I feel like he is going to have a really big 2020. So I'm excited for him and I'm excited for that potential. I also just love that the pressure of the offense isn't completely on his shoulders in Atlanta. He's got plenty of other weapons that are going to take the heat, and it's going to really give him room to run, which I'm excited for. So I wanted to make sure I locked in a good running back. I've done a couple of these, like I said, and I didn't like the running backs that fell to me later when I didn't take one early. So I definitely wanted to just get someone I knew was a sure thing for myself there.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to get a running back at some point. Again, you don't want to be stuck in running back hell, which that's a tough place to get out of, even though I do think that there is some upside in the later rounds with running back and a lot of those committees. They can get you by, but you need to have that pillar that you can take to the bank on a weekly basis. And Todd Gurley certainly represents that. If he's healthy, which from what we've heard so far, it looks like he's going to be heading into this season healthy. And if he is, I expect Gurley to do some big things in an offense that's going to score some points. Even if the efficiency's not there, we didn't see any efficiency with Devonta Freeman last season. I expect the offensive line to be a little bit better. Matt Ryan still has Julio and Ridley on the outside, even though they lost Austin Hooper. The way I was calculating it, Sam, is I expect there to be some, with how the board has fallen, I expect there to be some decent quarterbacks by the time it rolls back around to me.
I mean, I would say that, and I would agree with you. However, people that are drafting here, Pee Wee, who is the 102, so he went right after me in a second, just went Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. So he is just really stacked up his quarterback positions, which I think is interesting. I'm excited to see how his team turns out because that's an interesting strategy. It's a bold move, Cotton, and I want to see how it plays out for him. And
there goes Russell Wilson. So, I mean, you look at the double stack on the quarterback position, which makes a lot of sense. And we just saw Jonathan Taylor go from P.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
With how the running back board has fallen, it's not shocking, I guess, the way I would put it.
It's not shocking. And I think also this is tough. You
got to make a pick here. I'm
going to make a pick right now. And there's other rules in this league that I think are really important to bring up, and that's their efficiency and accuracy rules. And so you get docked when a player throws an interception and when that reception is turned back for a touchdown. So I want a quarterback that's going to be my second QB that's efficient. So I went with Drew Brees there in the third. Just because I love his efficiency. I love the amount of yards that he gets. And I don't see him really getting sacked all that much. So I feel like that was a good pick for me there at the third round spot.
It's funny that you bring up efficiency because right now I'm on the clock and I've got to make a decision. And I think it's between these two guys for me in Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen. In particular, Watson losing DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit concerning. However, his efficiency as a quarterback as far as completion percentage goes, which does come into play in this format. 67% to Josh Allen's, I think, was like 58% from last season. So the fact that comes into play, that gives the nod to Deshaun Watson for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. And I think that's a good stack that you have there too. You've got Barkley, you've got Eckler, and you've got Watson. I mean, that's not a bad team. That's not a bad team at all.
Yeah, I love the core of my team. And again, I'm not even with how the board fell. Do you think in these leagues where, and now we saw, here's the quarterback run. We've seen 6 out of the last 7 picks are quarterbacks. So we saw a huge quarterback run. I was able to get one of the ones that I really wanted as to anchor down my quarterback spot. Zach Attack goes with Matt Ryan in the 5th pick in the 3rd round. Lauren has to get up out of here. She already said in the comment section, something just came up. She has to duck out. So, Lauren, if you're listening right now, you can go ahead and duck out. It's okay. Auto drafting is acceptable with mock drafts. But
100%. 100%.
It's okay. We'll see her next week. We could possibly even do a mock draft next week with Lauren. We can figure that out. But we're excited to have her on. Tommy Garrett saying that Breeze is a quarterback 3 in my projections. And again, you said efficiency, Sam. I mean, is there a quarterback that you can take to the bank that's going to finish top 10 as far as completion percentage goes and yardage on a yearly basis other than Drew Brees from what we've seen over the entire 2010 decade?
No, I think he's top of my list for both of those things, which is also why I immediately was, when I saw 2 other players go to QB, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go early QB as well. And also, this is definitely not 100% answering your question, but that's how drafts go. I am definitely looping back onto something else. It's just interesting to see how this shakes out. When you're looking at the board, the way that these colors are done, which I love anything color coded, there's only been 3 receivers taken so far, and we're in the 3rd round. That leaves so many, like you have the entire wide receiver class left at your fingertips. I can see who I can potentially get in the 4th, given how many people are now left. I mean, that is if I go receiver. Maybe I won't go receiver.
And one was by accident from Lauren timing out because she obviously got tied up. So, I mean, one was an auto draft of the 3 receivers that have been taken thus far. And she may take another one because she has to auto draft again. Something came up. But, again, it's very interesting. Actually, it auto drafted her Mark Andrews.
There you go.
And then Carson Wentz goes, but by the way, I am super high on Carson Wentz. And then Tom Brady. We got Tommy Boy in the 3rd round.
No, I will say about Tom Brady, I mean, in this format, it makes a lot of sense. He is very efficient. He's very clean in his passes. He does not throw interceptions the way that other younger quarterbacks do. He's like a scalpel, like a surgeon with a scalpel. He is effective in throwing the ball. So you want someone that's not going to make mistakes.
I like you were going to say as far as another Bucks quarterback, which Jameis Winston. Yeah, I thought that's where you were going. But thank you for being kind.
You're welcome. I was trying to be nice. I let you beat yourself up for your own team. Crying out loud.
Very nice. As we saw Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Carson Wentz. Again, a slew of quarterbacks going in the 3rd round. And then another one with Matty Staff piece going in the 10th pick of the 3rd round to Dynasty Beard. So if this is any sort of a preview to how this league is going to play out as far as the quarterback position goes, you better get one. You better get one early. You better get one to anchor down your team. They're just as important as running backs from what I'm taking from this mock.
Absolutely. And I mean, even after you've taken those 2, I know that I've also seen a 3rd quarterback taken not super, super late, like not with your last pick, but maybe that 3rd to 4th of the last rounds. Just because when you're into your bye week, you don't want to be supplementing with someone that's not starting. So that's another interesting point that you have to take into account and something that I'm definitely going to be looking at. Normally, I don't really look at bye weeks that heavily when I take players, but for that 3rd QB, I'll be looking at bye weeks, 100%.
It's very odd to see that we have a lot of wide receiver talent, like DeAndre Hopkins is still on the board. Aaron Rodgers just went.
It's weird.
DeAndre Hopkins is it's the end of the 3rd round, and DeAndre Hopkins is on the board. Now we're talking Willie Jenkins, who is, obviously one of our all-stars as far as joining us here on the fantasy debate with Sam Tate. He's always tuning in and contributing. But Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, he's got the extra point advantage with Kelce. But again, now you're staring at running backs and what's left at quarterback for Will Jenkins at this point.
I mean, at this point, when the top of your list is Daniel Jones, you're not very excited. So this has definitely got to be a lesson to those who, if they're like me and this is going to be your first Scott Fishbowl, or if you guys are also going to be setting up formats going into the 2020 season when you want to get a little bit clever or have multiple quarterbacks, get crazy with your settings. But it is bleak. It is getting bleak quickly. So I definitely think that Will needs to take someone that he's going to get some consistency out of. So I don't know if he wants to go with Jones or Roethlisberger here. I'm a little bit hesitant to go with Mayfield just because I don't fully believe in the guy. But as your 2nd QB, I think I could see him being a good fit there. So he could definitely go double quarterback with these next 2 picks. He could go Roethlisberger and Mayfield, or grab Joe Burrow, which I don't think is a bad pick. I don't think that would be a reach at this point.
I don't think it would be either. And I think Willie Jenkins is a little bit perplexed himself because there goes
There he goes. There he goes taking Ben. I understand. Don't worry. Don't worry, Will. Home Ben is no longer a thing. Ooh, I went Cam. Interesting.
Cam Newton.
Interesting. I like it. That is an interesting stack right there. So now we've got Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, Ben, and Cam. That's an interesting team.
What's the thought process right now behind the likes of Cam Newton as a New England Patriot? I mean, I know that he's not known as the most efficient or accurate quarterback, but he's actually very good and very underrated as far as being able to diagnose pre-snap matchups that are at the line of scrimmage. And what Julian Edelman and James White, I'm sure, are still going to have a significant role, as Derek Carr just went off the board at the 402 as he pairs up another Oakland Raider, or Las Vegas Raider, sorry, Josh Jacobs and Derek Carr on the same team, along with Joe Mixon and Aaron Rodgers, as Mark Ingram now goes off the board in the third pick in the fourth round, a dynasty beard. But as far as Cam Newton, I thought that we saw a preview of Josh McDaniels, or at least the Patriots offense, with Jacoby Brissett when Tom Brady was not able to play and Jimmy Garoppolo actually went down via injury for, I think it was a 3-game stretch. Yeah. And they were very effective using Jacoby Brissett in rushing packages. And Cam Newton is a healthy Cam Newton is exponentially better than whatever Jacoby Brissett could give you under center. So is it really that far-fetched to think that Cam Newton could be a top 10 quarterback as a New England Patriot?
It's not. And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at the end of 2020 if Cam Newton was a top 10, but I'm just not taking him at that position now. I feel like it makes sense in this format here where you're taking him as your second quarterback in a 2 QB format. I get that, but I'm not taking him earlier than I need to. I won't be surprised if he's top 10 by the end of the year, but as of right now, and I agree, he can definitely work wonders in that package there in New England. But I can't take him as my first quarterback. I just can't. We just saw Tyreek Hill finally go off the board at the 406. In the fourth round, which is so weird. I know. Leonard Fournette at the 405. That's still pretty good value. As far as, I mean, a bell cow back there in Jacksonville as it's currently constructed, even though I'm a little bit lower on Leonard Fournette than a lot of folks are, because I'm actually don't think he's going to catch 70 passes again this season. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be a dumpster fire. No offense to Gardner Minshew believers, but we got Lauren, who's on the clock, but again, we don't know if she's going to be making her pick or if she's with us right now. She said she is preoccupied, but she's got 2 of the 4 receivers that have been taken as of right now. I mean, if she comes back and looks at this and it just takes this as a strategy take, which you do as a mock draft, that's not a terrible thing to have Michael Thomas and Julio Jones as your starting receivers. There's not at all. And I mean, again, you have 4 total flex positions. So even if the board doesn't go exactly the way that you want it, you know, you still have a lot of flexibility with your roster. You can start up to 6 wide receivers if that really is how the board falls to you with the PPR format. You don't always have to get into line and get nailed down to a specific strategy. You can zig when everybody else is zagging. Yeah, you definitely can. And I mean, I know that it is obviously, you know, super flex, crazy points for quarterbacks. I'm not saying you shouldn't take a quarterback early when everyone else is taking them, but it is interesting to see what other points you could be getting on the board without it. Plus, if you think about it later, it's amazing, you know, trading opportunity that you have when you have these types of players that no one else is going to have. No one else is going to have, you know, top 2, like 1 and 2 in the receiving position. It took Zach Ertz for her. So actually she's got 2 tight ends in a tight end premium league that have a chance to catch. It's really not that bad. It's not that crazy either to go in that direction, as Zach Attack does take DeAndre Hopkins, which I'm not shocked with. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins had really no business being there. You know, I start taking a look around and I'm like, you know, there's a potential that I could go with tight end here. I could also go with another running back to kind of monopolize the position. I'd be one of the few guys that actually has 3
running backs at this point. But wide receiver wise, if there's one player that I could see benefiting from the likes of Tom Brady being under center, it's Chris Godwin. And I'm happy to get Chris Godwin here, at the tail end of the fourth round.
Yeah. And with that, I'm definitely going to take Darren Waller with my fourth pick. And I'm very happy with landing a top of the top tight ends, and they're all in tiers. He is definitely within this next chunk of guys that have a high floor for points, and I'm happy to get him off the board right there. So, yay me.
And right behind you, David Johnson goes. So Pee Wee's got a team that's shaping up. Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott in the 2 QB league. That's pretty damn good. Jonathan Taylor and David Johnson, and we got Turner at the wraparound. Turner FF. I mean, I if I had your boy's real name, I would go ahead and properly introduce him. But, he's got Christian McCaffrey, Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson. I mean, in a 2 QB league where obviously the league is slanted as far as scoring goes for quarterbacks, I'd be pretty damn happy with my weekly floor with those 3 players.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, this is all just it's exciting, and maybe it's just because I've done too many mock drafts and I'm just got my hopes up really high. And I know when I get my hopes up, something bad's going to happen. But I keep going back in my head and thinking about how this 2020 season is going to actually shape up and shake out. Looking at players, like I have Gurley and David Johnson having just gone off the board, given games might get canceled, are you a little bit worried about any players that have had an injury history going into this season in particular?
No, not really. I mean, injuries are just a part of the game, and I'm not going to say they're random, because there are guys that, have a track record of becoming a little bit more nicked up than other ones, as Melvin Gordon just went off the board with the last pick of the 4th round to Turner. Again, a pretty damn good team. And again, the wide receiver value is just off the charts right now as far as how this draft board has fallen, as Kenny Golladay is the first pick of the 5th damn round. Absolutely, mind-blowing as far as the value goes there. But I mean, let's shape it back up, as now Mike Evans just went and you are on the clock.
I am on the clock.
You went with Darren Waller. So you got your point-specific players with a quarterback format, tight end format. You got Gurley as your running back 1. Where do you go in this direction?
This is tough. And also what I don't like about this position, I know that I get the 103 spot for the league tomorrow. So I've been trying to see what I can get at this position, and I constantly get stuck with these 4 guys. It's been very consistent over drafts. I'm staring at Thielen, Lev Bell, James Conner, and I'm staring at Juju Smith. And it is hard to not take Juju Smith-Schuster right here. And I know that I'm probably higher than most on him. But I just feel like he is in for a really, really big year. So I'm definitely just going to go for it. I'm going to take him right there. And I don't think that is a bad receiver to have as my first one.
I know it feels like you're super high on him. I mean, I love Juju Smith-Schuster as a player, and with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, we've seen him be very productive in a very short amount of time in the National Football League. And I'm not holding last year against him, because what we saw Mason Rudolph and Devlin Duck Hodges throwing him the rock. I actually really like Deontay Johnson as far as his running mate, but in particular, I'm going to go ahead and hold off the high bit of optimism. And I can't believe you took him over the likes of your boy, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is just so solid, productive, consistent. And we saw him last year break out coming off of an ACL injury. And I got him in the 5th round. I mean, the guy finishes a top 10, top 5 PPR guy. I mean, I'm ecstatic. So
I can tell you're thrilled.
Woo! Like a Ric Flair. Woo!
No, I think he's fantastic too, but I really feel like when the Steelers offense is just built for a high volume of passes. And when I think about how much Juju could have gotten last year, if the season we had didn't turn out the way that it did, I'm just excited. Everybody's healthy and the floor is raised. Ceiling is even higher. I cannot wait to see how many points I'm going to get out of Juju Smith. And I'm hoping I can get him tomorrow.
I'm just hoping that Juju Smith-Schuster has a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, because I think that that's the key. I mean, I know that they took Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame, and he is big. He's fast. He's kind of like a poor man's DK Metcalf from last year's draft, where I think he's a little bit raw, but boy, does he just oozes with all kinds of physical tools. James Washington's also a nice player, a nice deep threat, but Deontay Johnson shows me signs of someone like Antonio Brown. He seems to have a similar skill set. The dude is just silky damn smooth and can get open at will. So I like Deontay.
I get why you like him. I love that
Juju.
That, if Ben can stay healthy this year, that the floor for all Steelers offensive players is so much higher.
Agreed. 100%. They're all coming at a bargain.
Yes.
All coming at a bargain. So we have a couple folks joining. I know, and Sam, I know you got to get going here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to actually take everybody to the finish line here on the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate here on this mock draft edition.
I'll see if I can move something and stay a little bit longer.
I know you're going to stay a little bit longer, and we will gladly take the extra time that Sam is giving us any day, any time of the week. But I'm just saying, if you got to get going, I got you back here. I got you covered. Allen Robertson, and by the way, Robert Woods, and Amari Cooper, all in any name a receiver, you're getting them in the 5th round right now. It's absurd. Ryan Tannehill, though, from Dynasty Beard, as the quarterback too, and finished taking into consideration how he finished last year. Mm-hmm. Does it feel like a steal?
I do feel like that's a bit of a steal. And I mean, given how quarterbacks have gone so far in this draft, I do think it's a nice stack. Now that's interesting. Who just took a 3rd QB?
Jared Goff. We have is it McNabb? I need to take a look at the name. I gotta yep, Jay McNabb just took he nabbed up a 3rd quarterback.
Wow.
It's, you know what? It's the format. Quarterbacks are incredibly valuable in this format. So, I mean, is it hard to understand that maybe having a 3rd one for either trade potential or
it's got to be for that bye week fill-in, like I mentioned earlier. This is one of those leagues where you're not just hoping to slot somebody in that you find on waivers during that bye week. No, you want a sure thing in this format because of the potential for points. So you do not want to be risking a 2nd string quarterback just as a fill-in. So this is definitely going to be something you're going to start seeing too, is that 3rd quarterback going off the board on teams.
Willie Jenkins taking Raheem Mostert with the last pick of the 5th round, and his team.
Like Will's team.
I mean, I like Will's team too. Again, format considered, and you got Devontae Adams, who can easily finish the year as a wide receiver 1 in any format on any given season. So, I mean, Will Jenkins, though, I mean, Raheem Mostert as your running back 1, we've seen him kind of implement that 0 running back strategy. Same thing with Lauren, as far as, I don't know if she did it on purpose, but she's, honestly, I do not hate her team.
Yeah,
how it is actually shaken out. It's just, she's going to have to hit on a quarterback or two as the draft progresses in order for that 0 quarterback strategy in this format to really work out. As we do have a couple folks joining in, commenting in live as we are here on the Fantasy Debate with Sam Tate. Again, if this is your first time coming across the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like button, all that stuff. Click the bell so you get the notifications whenever we drop a new video or go live as we approach the 2020 fantasy football season, God willing. As we are now in the 6th round of the SFBX Scott Fish Bowl 10 fantasy mock draft, as you guys are about to start tomorrow. Am I correct?
Yes. So all the leagues will be drafting tomorrow, and I could not be more nervous. This is my first year doing this, and as you can tell by my reactions to teams that I'm seeing just from mock draft from today, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm going to be sweating all day. I'm going to have to hydrate because I'm just going to probably pass out in the middle of work because the anxiety level is going to be too high. There's so much at stake. I just want to do a good job.
I mean, a lot of it has to do, and Gronkowski, by the way, just went with Will Jenkins. So
I really like Will's team. This is a great team for this format.
He doubles up on the tight ends, Gronk being his tight end too.
I like it.
I understand why you go. If you believe in Gronk, if you think he's going to, pick up where he left off with Tom Brady, then, Gronk is going to be a top 10 tight end. And given this format, extra point per reception or extra half a point per reception for tight ends in a tight end premium league. I can certainly see why you implement that strategy given how the draft board has fallen for him. But I want to change gears here. I mean, before I ask you what you think of my team, but the answer should be like, yeah, Derek, it's really good. Thank you. And you really should be in this league because you would tear shit up. But anyway, I digress.
It doesn't sound like something I would ever say.
DJ Moore just went off the board. Jay McNabb finally in the 6th round getting his first wide receiver on his team. And he's not the only one. Everybody's been kind of waiting on receivers. There's a lot of value at wide receiver. But I am curious. So you're picking at the 3 spot tomorrow in your given league. Mm-hmm. If this was the core of your team tomorrow, how do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good. I definitely feel pretty good. And I think that my only hesitation in saying that is I don't know how soon I want to take that second quarterback. I took Drew Brees in the 3rd, and I do like it. And the way this draft has shaped out, I'm glad that I did that. I just hope that if I decide to wait tomorrow at that second quarterback position, maybe the quarterbacks aren't jumping off the board as quickly. And I think that you'll kind of get that pace once you see someone like Kyler Murray go off the board. Then I think you're going to start to see other quarterbacks roll off. But if that doesn't happen and the second round goes by without an extra quarterback taken, then I think I will go another running back there instead.
I feel you. I mean, it's tricky because I don't think that there's really a wrong answer as Kirk Cousins just went off the board. And by the way, Chris Carson, great value pick from Ryan here in the 6th round. I know he's not a PPR machine by any stretches. Baker Mayfield now goes off the board from John. So he gets his second quarterback. We do have Lauren who needs a quarterback if she is still with us. I know she made her pick for Lev Bell. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be a meeting of the minds with how many different ways you can try to play this out as far as building your team efficiently, given the scoring format. Like you can zig when everybody else is zagging when it comes to tight ends, wide receivers in particular. They're just, I mean, it's I've never seen in any mock DeAndre Hopkins go in the 4th round, regardless of format.
No, I know. And it just really is a testament to the weirdness that is this league and this format, but it's fun. I enjoy seeing it. I mean, it's fantasy football. So obviously we're all trying to just build our best teams to maximize our points the way that we are. It's just really exciting for me to see so many different ways to do it. I mean, honestly, I just said, maybe if quarterbacks are going a bit slower tomorrow, I might take a tight end sooner than I did. I mean, I'm really happy with getting Waller in the 4th, given, like you said, tight end premium. But
the interesting thing is, where you're drafting. So in the 3 spot, I mean, I would be pressed to say that there is no shot in hell that George Kittle or Travis Kelce are going. So it's again going to probably look pretty similar to you. That I don't know if Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, and Zach Ertz will all still be there, but that is kind of the one place that I'm looking at how the board has fallen to you. That I wonder, if the quarterback run is going to take place much earlier. Like, I don't know if someone like Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson will be available to you in the 2nd round when it comes back around to you type of thing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure there. And I think because at that 103, you've got that long wait until you get kind of close to doubling back on that pick. Right. So if I'm waiting that whole time for my second player, and let's say that there's like how this one shaked out, no other quarterback gets taken. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with maybe instead I take Dak Prescott there at the 2nd position, and then I've just doubled up and stacked up my quarterbacks. I kind of like that idea too. There's
nothing wrong with that at all. And again, with how the board is really shaken out, as Tyler Lockett just went off the board, which, by the way, now I'm going with my second quarterback. I'm going Joe Burrow. I'm a believer in this kid. I think that this offense, even with or without A.J. Green, if they have A.J. Green, it jumps up. But if even if they don't have AJ Green, I still like Tyler Boyd, John Ross, and they drafted T. Higgins out of the University of Clemson. I really, truly believe that it is going to be a very vastly improved offense for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020.
So I'm doing something. I did a thing. I don't know if you're mad at me yet.
Oh, no! I was waiting for Tyler Higbee on the way back. Damn you. And then Evan Ingram. That's the mistake I made. This is probably the mistake I made because you all have 2 quarterbacks behind me, and I took Joe Burrow instead of nabbing a tight end. Shit happens.
Yeah. Shit happens. I mean, this is one of those things where, I was looking at the board and I'm looking at running backs available to me and I'm not loving them at that position. And this is where you really just have to kind of get that good feel for your ADP. And it's your ADP compared to everyone else's. Like, if it's too soon for you to take someone, like I saw Devin Singletary there and David Montgomery, and I'm like, I would rather have something else. That's how I know to switch to a different position, as well as like it's too soon for me on those guys. If I can make sure I get another position that I still need filled, and I wanted to double up on that tight end slot. So I'm glad that I did that. Feels good.
Yeah. The tight end slot right now, it's starting to, I saw the potential mini run on tight ends going behind me. I did not think you were going to go Tyler Higbee when you already had Darren Waller. But I thought that there was definitely a chance that Turner and Pee Wee would go that route. So there's a lot of strategy that, like, you're paying attention to your draft board and you take a look at how everybody else is going and you bank on the fact that they've already got this on their roster. They're not going to go that direction. And then you throw me a curveball with Tyler Higbee and damn it.
I'm sorry. I had to do it. You know what? Sometimes it's just, I want to feel bad, but I don't. So there's that.
Thank you. Oh, that's very sweet of you. So now at this point, you've got the good core of your team. You're still looking for a running back too, but there's still some good stuff on the board. Same thing with a wide receiver too. I'm interested to see what you're going to put on hiatus until the 8th round.
Yeah, and this is one of those tough ones too, where I'm looking at positions. I'm looking at who's available. Not in love. Ooh, this is tough.
It feels like you're you're going through a dating app right now. You're swiping left on everything.
I literally am swiping left. Like I just keep swiping. Like, no, just give me something else. Give me something else. I don't like this. I don't like it.
Like you're kind of pausing and thinking back for a split second, then no, okay, and then you just start rapid fire. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna take DK Metcalf here.
Ooh, okay.
I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do this year, and I want to see how my receiving core turns out. Having 2 really strong receivers there. I've got Juju and I've got Metcalf, so I like that a lot. Waiting at the running back position, which doesn't make me feel good, but I didn't like what I was seeing where I was at, so I'm gonna wait a little bit on running back and see what falls to me. Hopefully I made a good decision. If not, I will learn from this and do better tomorrow.
It's a learning experience for everybody. And again, I wish that I kind of wish I was in this league because I feel good about my team right now. And I feel even better about this pick. Devin Singletary, I know they drafted Zach Moss. Mm-hmm. I know, I get it. Out of Utah, very good player. And if he would have went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I honestly believe that he would be someone that's like in the conversation for a 3rd or 4th round pick and in a non-super flex league. But Singletary, this is a Bills team that even though they added Stephon Diggs, they are still going to be primarily built through running the football and playing good defense. And Singletary showed me enough pop last year that this kid is electric. So Singletary in the 7th round as my running back 3, I couldn't pass him up.
No, I was just going back and forth with him because of the Zach Moss. Honestly, like Devin Singletary is fantastic. And I think that for a lot of these running backs that did have another rookie added to their team, I think that they're going to have a lot of success at the very beginning of the year. And I think that just means that you have, trade potential before the rookie catches on. And I feel like this is going to be one of those years where those rookies catch on late just because they're really not getting any of that in actual practice with the team that they normally would have by now. We're in July. Everything is very much on hold and different than other years before because of COVID. So I think that, it's going to be a bit of a wait before we see someone take another player's job.
We have some of the folks that are actually in this draft right now. John jumping in and saying, we're going to make a t-shirt. No quarter, Sam. We have to thank everybody first off for joining a mock draft on like a moment's notice. Yeah. And I think 11 of the 12 people are in here actually taking part in this mock. So I got to say, hats off. Like here, I got a Chicago Cubs hat, tip of the hat. Thank you for everybody for joining. And for those of you that have just jumped across for us for the first time, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button as well, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. But this has been a fantastic experiment, and I'm going to take us to the finish line of it. Sam, I know you got to go in about 5 minutes. You got some plans. You got family plans. Like I can't believe
stuff I got to do. So
unfortunately, everybody's going to be stuck with just me talking about criticizing their teams, and they're going to be like, "Well, you don't even have an invite to this league, you asshole." And that's right, I don't. Which makes it, I guess I have the right to go ahead and criticize everybody since I'm not going to be competing against everybody.
Absolutely. That makes total sense. I mean, I think the only leg that you don't really have to stand on is the tight end one. So you just got to fix that. If you can fix that, then your team is going to shake out well. But there's not a lot left at the position that I think for a tight end premium. But
I mean, it's counteracted by the fact that I have two quarterbacks I feel confident will finish inside the top 15 at their position. And then, two wide receivers that I feel like very strongly will finish inside the top 10, and then a running back 3 that has immense upside. So, I mean, I feel good about my team, even though, I don't have the tight end. I kind of got, you kind of snaked me on the Tyler Higbee pick, but, I decided to go ahead and prioritize the quarterback, even though everybody behind me had 2 quarterbacks. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna get had in one way. Not every draft is going to go perfect, but I feel if this were my team, I'd feel fantastic. I don't even have to make another pick. Give me just free agents from this point on. I got my core. I'm good.
You've got a good core. And honestly, I'm looking at who's available, and I have a couple guesses as who you'll end up with. I feel like you'll probably end up with TJ Hawkinson just because you love saying his name. And then
whoa. People that are listening in on this draft, like you, whoa, your name dropping now. Come on.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, there's 4 other tight ends ahead of him, but I feel like I could see me taking TJ Hawkinson and Dallas Goddard because we've talked about them at length. So I would not be surprised if one of those or both ended up on your team.
Goddard is a top 5 fantasy tight end if Zach Ertz isn't in town. I will die on that hill. Dallas Goddard. I mean, poor guy got sucker punched at a random restaurant in South Dakota, I believe it was. Poor bastard. But anyway, and look what you've done. Actually, John was probably going to take Hawk anyway. But I mean, look at what you've done. I'm kidding. But
so good.
I mean, you look at this draft, and I find it. I don't want to say it's going to be this way in every single one of those drafts, but I'm still kind of floored by and I know that we've had Lauren that has been in and out of the draft a little bit. So I mean, she doesn't even have a quarterback yet, which would probably 1,000% not be the case if she were actually drafting with her pick every single round. But, the wide receivers is the one thing I take away is that you're still getting this crazy amount of value later in drafts.
No, absolutely. In the chat when we were talking earlier about the way that the wide receivers are falling, I mean, it was the 4th round, wasn't it, that Tyreek Hill went?
Yes. 4th round for Tyreek Hill, and I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins went in the back half of the 4th. D-Hop,
like that guy. That
in
guy that
air raid offense. went in the 4th round in a PPR league. I mean, granted, again, take it with a grain of salt. It's a mock draft. Or, if you're going to take TJ Hawkinson, I'll go ahead and throw a pun in there. It's a hawk draft. Get it? Hey, Mocky Balboa. Hey, I ain't so comfortable neither. It's not. It is 6:09 over there. I know you got to go at 6:10. Spend time with the fam. I will take us home. Don't worry. Your autopilot is Tater.
I will still be drafting while I go undo this call, and then my parents will be upset with me. Why am I looking at my phone while I'm on a call? I can call them from my iPad.
If you're doing a video chat dinner, that's, I think it's fully acceptable to still be doing multitasking.
Well, given the state of COVID in SoCal, the way that it's been, right, we just felt that it was safest that I not go home to my parents. I normally spend every 4th of July with them, so it was a bit of a bummer to not go and see them, but we are still going to have dinner. I got leftovers from my barbecue yesterday, so I'm very excited about that. And, it's always good to spend time with the fam, despite it having to be via video. So I'm just going to stay on long enough to see who takes TJ Hawkinson from you. Oh,
it's John. He's got it teed up. I'm surprised it wasn't already queued to just automatically register. Oh, he took Jonnu Smith. Now he's turning. He's playing mind games with me. He's playing mind games. I mean, John is in my head. I've never interacted with John before, but he's in my head. Jonnu Smith, Mike Gesicki, Jared Cook have a little mini late tight end run here in the 8th round. We saw Cam Akers go in the first pick of the 8th round, then Keenan Allen and Jarvis Landry as well. I mean, Keenan Allen in the 8th in a PPR league.
I know.
Wow.
That's insane.
Just a little crazy. I mean, I get it. I don't love the quarterback situation there in Los Angeles anymore, but we do have Lauren on. I mean, eventually what do we have left at quarterback? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, let me pull that up.
It's Drew Lock, which, by the way, I do like Drew Lock. And Sam Darnold, I'm okay with either of those guys. You could pair up
DeAndre Swift.
Or DeAndre Swift. I mean, to hell with it. 0 quarterback. I don't need one. Keep your quarterbacks.
Well, honestly, if things stay the way that they are and everyone else already has 2 QBs, so if they're all feeling like they're trying to stack up at the positions other than those and hope for a good 3rd QB to just hold later, she could still be left with, Drew Lock, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, she's got a lot of options there. Nick Foles, I think there's a lot of great, end of
It's tongue of Iloa.
Well, I knew I wasn't going to say it right. I never do.
No, I have to give you a hard time about it though. Tua Tagovailoa.
There you go. You took Hawkinson.
I did. I got TJ Hawk, even though I think John ninja'd my brain. I think I could have waited again until it came back around in the 9th round. But I mean, it's just like Hawk was there. I had to take Hawk.
I mean, I get it. I definitely get it.
I think this kid is super special as a tight end, like plus level athleticism, along with being a competent blocker. You can move him all over the formation. I just love so much of what he does, and I loved it coming out of Iowa. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the Detroit Lions for the 2020 season, Hawk, I see him as a guy that could break out and really finish inside the top 10 at the tight end position.
Yeah, no, he's definitely going to finish high. But
Hooper, super high on Hawk.
Super high on Hawk. High on Hawk. All right. With that, I've got to walk away, but I will continue to draft. So I will be active in the chat as much as I can be.
Okay.
But I will still be drafting. You will not see me auto draft. I took Sony Michel with my next pick, and that's because I think that with the addition of Cam, he's going to utilize someone that is as talented in the running game as Sony Michel. So I'm excited to see him boost his numbers just a little bit. And I'm not giving up on
I feel you.
Positions in New England. So there's going to be a lot of volume there. So I got to take him. But if I can jump back in, I absolutely will. But if not, I will see you guys later in the week. I will be posting about the draft tomorrow, let you guys know how I did. And hopefully if I did okay, I will post it and not get too shamed.
If you need a draft consultant, I'm available tomorrow.
I appreciate you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate, yes. And we will be joining you again for the fantasy debate Saturday morning, right? And then
Saturday morning, we'll have Lauren Carpenter, who's in this draft, on with us. So we'll definitely join us next time. I mean, well, I'm taking everybody to the finish line because I'm seeing this through. I'm finishing what I started. I understand that we got into this knowing that you had to go at a certain time. So I'll take us home.
Appreciate that. And yeah, don't forget to hit subscribe, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
So we have no Sam anymore. You're just stuck with Tater. So I'm going to go ahead and start to break down every team on a team-by-team basis and kind of just give you some of my thoughts, as now the core of every single person's team has been kind of played out. We've seen that we have Turner at the top who got the 101. He decided to go in the direction of Christian McCaffrey as opposed to going to one of the quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes at the top of the order. And it's hard to argue with C-Mac. I mean, dude, he's one of 3 guys in NFL history to rush and receive for over 1,000 yards in the same season, that being Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig, the other 2. But when we start taking a look at the rest of his team, we got Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and then look at the value he got at wide receiver with Kenny Golladay. And A.J. Brown is a high upside player, even though we don't know what the hell to believe when it comes to A.J. Brown and the Tennessee passing offense. I mean, Brown was great whenever the ball got in his hands last season. I mean, it was just unbelievable run after the catchability. And it looks like the team has already declined the 5th-year option on Corey Davis, a former top 10 pick for the Tennessee Titans, as Turner has now gone with Stephon Diggs as his wide receiver 3. He's also got running back 3 and 4 as Kareem Hunt and J.K. Dobbins, the rookie out of Ohio State. Pee Wee, he went with quarterback to start off. And really, I mean, fantastic value. Not another quarterback was taken until the 11th pick of the 2nd round. He nabbed up Dak Prescott and then went with Jonathan Taylor, the touchdown man Taylor out of Wisconsin, with his first running back in the 3rd round. I thought it was a little bit early, but hey, you know what? One thing that Indianapolis is going to be able to do this season is run the damn football. Him and Marlon Mack, there's going to be an interesting split there. And, of course, Nyheim Hines is still going to be involved in the passing attack. So do with it what you will. But, David Johnson as his running back, too. I mean, certainly he's going to be the lead dog there, at least to begin the season, having, 3 straight years of disappointing campaigns. Not all of it his fault. A couple injuries for the likes of David Johnson there in Arizona, and then just got outplayed by Kenyon Drake to finish the season. But running back 2 is David Johnson. Then Mike Evans all the way in the 5th round, which is just criminal, but fantastic value. Then doubles down on the tight end position with Evan Ingram and Hayden Hurst. Hurst obviously being traded from Baltimore to Atlanta. And, if he plugs and plays like Austin Hooper was productive, then it's a hell of a pick in the 7th round in a tight end premium. Darius Geis, can he stay healthy? Who the hell knows? I still like him as a player. He just got to stay healthy. And then Marquis Hollywood Brown. Look, Lamar Jackson led the league in touchdown passes in 2019. And Hollywood Brown was injured for a good portion of that, dealing with a foot injury coming into the year, then dealing with an ankle injury as we continue to progress, as Sam is likely going to auto draft. Of course, Sam Holt rules the fantasy debate with Sam Tate. She got auto drafted now. Damian Williams, that sucks for her because I certainly wouldn't take Damian Williams at that spot, but I digress. So now I am on the clock and I'm looking at the fact that I have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Finally was able to lock him down. I've got good balance at the running back spot. We did see Damian Williams, J.K. Dobbins. One guy that kind of interests me is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back in Rojo here at the spot. However, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pivot. You ever seen Friends, the episode Pivot? I'm going Devontae Parker. I got to get some depth at wide receiver. Again, Parker had a breakout season. I like Preston Williams, the rookie. However, he's coming off of a knee injury himself. And really, we have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, if Tua Tagovailoa isn't healthy to begin the season, I still trust that this Dolphins offense is going to throw the ball quite a bit, and they're going to be productive with Fitzpatrick, who's just going to sling it regardless. But if you get Tua Tagovailoa, who is healthy under center, I think Devontae Parker still has a nice floor as the lead wide receiver in this offense. By the way, I saw someone take Mike Gesicki. It was ATL Mikey. I like the Gesicki pick. Zach Attack going with A.J. Green. Look, AJ Green is a steal if he's on the field. If he's not, then, we could be facing a holdout situation because for some damn reason, the Cincinnati Bengals refuse to pay this man a long-term contract, even though he has been a solid performer, basically at a Pro Bowl level the entirety of his NFL career. And you've seen him kind of like punch the clock as far as a guy that comes in, works his ass off, and you don't really hear much from him. He wants a long-term deal, and the Bengals are unwilling to give it to him. He will produce, though, if he is on the field. I like the stab in the 9th round with A.J. Green because the upside is a top 15 PPR wide receiver. We got Lauren, who's on the clock. She still doesn't have a quarterback. It's almost comical at this point. Unfortunately, the auto draft gods in a super flex league have not been kind to her, although she's just now jumping on Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, 2 Atlanta wide receivers. But two tight ends in a format that is tight end premium friendly. Can't hate on it too much. Then we got John on deck, and I really like John's team. Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb was pushing for a damn rushing title last season, and that was with Kareem Hunt having a significant role in the passing attack last season. And all they did was bring in Kevin Stefanski as a head coach, and then you add Jedrick Wills, and you also bring in another high-quality tackle to shore up that offensive line in free agency. Nick Chubb could win a rushing title this year, and you get him in the 2nd round. I really like where John went with it. Carson Wentz and then Baker Mayfield. I mean, Carson Wentz just has to stay healthy, but as far as them teeing up Carson Wentz is one of my high upside quarterbacks for this upcoming season. Tyreek Hill in the 4th round, perfect value. Same thing with Amari Cooper. I love how his team is shaking out, and then he rounds it out. He's high on Jonnu Smith. Can't hate on that. Courtland Sutton is a home run of upside galore. He could finish as a top 10 wide receiver. And the same thing can be said about Tyler Boyd. Look, if AJ Green doesn't play, it's been Tyler Boyd that has finished 2 straight seasons as a top 18 PPR wide receiver. So ATL Mikey, going with Dallas Goddard. Really? I mean, 3 tight ends, interesting strategy. Can't hate on it because I love Dallas Goddard and Mike Gesicki. Hunter Henry, I mean, I have no idea what the hell to expect from Tyrod Taylor and even more so Mr. Inconsistent, that is Justin Herbert out of the University of Oregon, but I digress. Ryan going with Jordan Howard. Again, how his team is shaking out. Again, another team that I really like as far as the value that he was able to pick up. I thought he reached on Matthew Stafford just a little bit. And Tannehill, what do we know? Do we have any idea of what the hell to expect from Ryan Tannehill in his follow-up season? He got paid. And then you got Derrick Henry, who doesn't catch more than 20 passes in a given season. Of course, you got the tight end premium with George Kittle. But I'm just saying with Matty Staff was having a great year. He was top 15 quarterback before he went down and got injured. Tannehill was fantastic to finish last season and earn himself a hell of a payday. Odell Beckham Jr. in the 6th round. I mean, even if Odell has another slew of excuses as why he's not going to produce on a top 5 level, you can't. The upside is undeniable. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the fact that you got 2 Cleveland wide receivers, but as far as value goes, it's appropriately valued as far as where you got them in the 6th and the 8th round, respectively. And then David Montgomery. I mean, it's like Matt Nagy. Finally, somebody hit him in the head and figured out who that. Finally, go ahead and give David Montgomery the football. He's actually a pretty damn good running back. There's a reason why you took him where you took him last year in the 2019 NFL Draft. David Montgomery is a solid pick in the 7th at the end of the 7th round. I mean, given the format, it's criminal. And then of course you followed it up with, you actually took Keyshawn Vaughn over Ronald Jones, and then Ronald Jones went with the very next pick to Jay McNabb. So let's go ahead and shift gears to Jay McNabb, who is the first owner to actually select 3 different quarterbacks on the roster. And he did it in the first 5 rounds. He went running back with Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon. Love that pairing. And then he went 3 straight quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and then Jared Goff at the end of the 5th round. But it makes sense when you put it in context that the wide receivers that he has been able to accumulate in rounds 6, 7, and 8 are DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, and Keenan Allen. arguably all top 20 guys, and you got him after the 6th round. So, tip of the hat, Ronald Jones, also day one, he's going to be the starter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dynasty Beard, if you're higher on Keyshawn Vaughn, I mean, that's fine. And Keyshawn Vaughn is a nice player. I don't see a superstar or a 3-down back in the National Football League. I think he is essentially Peyton Barber, a plotter with a little bit more juice than Barber. Plays well through contact. He is a competitor. He's feisty. I'd like him, but with Rojo being there, it's going to be a mess as far as a running back by committee. But you know what? You got him in the 9th round. It's not like either of you guys reached on a Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. So I'm not hating on the pick. I like it. You selected Vaughn in front of Rojo. I personally would have gone Rojo in front of Vaughn, given the situation. Phillip Rivers finally came off the board with the first pick of the 10th round. And by the way, Willie Jenkins, nice pick with Deontay Johnson. I'm super high on Deontay Johnson. Led all rookie receivers in receptions, despite the suspect quarterback play under center for the Pittsburgh Steelers last season. And also one thing that you need to look at, and it's not always he's just breaking people off with his routes, but he led all rookie receivers in average separation as far as on a per route basis. So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and go that I like Deontay Johnson. One thing that a lot of rookie receivers struggle to do is get open and create separation. This young man was able to do it last season, and that was with only Juju Smith-Schuster, who wasn't really 100% himself. So love Deontay Johnson. You went with a different strategy. Your running backs, very shaky in Raheem Mostert and Cam Akers. You went with kind of the zero running back approach. Devontae Adams in the 1st round, can't argue with that. Travis Kelce, fantastic given the tight end premium format. And then you got Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton. Cam a little bit early, but I mean, if Cam is Cam and he's healthy, then Cam could be a top 10 guy, and you got him in the 4th round in the 2-quarterback format. Mostert and then Gronkowski is your second tight end in the tight end premium league. T.Y. Hilton and then Cam Akers. It's the place to be. As far as he's going to compete for the top running back spot there in Los Angeles. A slew of picks. Everybody is still here and letting them rip. Julian Edelman in the 10th. I get it. Tom Brady's not there anymore, and Julian Edelman is not getting any younger. But in a PPR format, Julian Edelman still presents one of the more secure pass-catching options. I like the pick from Jay McNabb. Michael Gallup, look, I mean, is CeeDee Lamb still available? Dynasty Beard, I would have gone with CeeDee Lamb if CeeDee Lamb is still here, and from what I see, Lamb is still available. There's a reason why they took him in the 1st round, and CeeDee Lamb is an exponentially better player, in my opinion, than Michael Gallup. Gallup has been productive with his opportunity, but he also led the league in drops. So I'm going to go ahead, and now I've got the board is mine. I've seen Tariq Cohen, James White, a lot of PPR, pass-catching running backs going off the board. I got to go ahead and make a pick. I mean, Deebo Samuel, unfortunately, just broke his foot, which kind of sucks because I actually like him as a player. All right, so now I got to go ahead and try to decipher whether I want to go with another tight end to kind of pair him up with Hawk. And I am. In a tight end premium, I think it's a bounce back year for Jack Doyle. And hear me out when it comes to Jack Doyle. They got rid of Eric Ebron, and Phillip Rivers is more than capable. I mean, really, outside of T.Y. Hilton, I mean, yeah, you got Paris Campbell. They also drafted Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal. I mean, but outside of T.Y. Hilton and maybe Nyheim Hines coming out of the backfield, I mean, who do you really feel confident is going to catch a ton of passes for the Indianapolis Colts this year? And Eric Ebron's out of town, and I mean, Mo Alley Cox is not going to take the starting position. If Jack Doyle's healthy, Doyle rules. So give me Jack Doyle. I like the streaming options that I'll have with him and TJ Hawkinson having the upside. I think Doyle's going to have, given the fact that Ebron's out of town and now a little bit more competent quarterback play. No offense to Jacoby Brissett, but if Phillip Rivers isn't, the 2019 version or the 2020 version of Eli Manning from 2019, then I'm okay with Jack Doyle being kind of a tight end option in a tight end premium league. So going to Sam. Sam has 40-something seconds left on the clock. Look, she's having dinner with her family, so I can't hate on her. But she's not here to defend herself, so I'm going to go ahead and shit on her team. Just kidding. But I will analyze it. Patrick Mahomes, no-brainer in this format. I thought he was the 101. No offense to Christian McCaffrey or Lamar Jackson, but if I were picking 101 in this format, I'd go Patrick Mahomes. And then I think I might have gotten the one player that she would have liked in Austin Eckler. I saw her going running back, so I went with Austin Eckler. She ended up going, pivoting and going Todd Gurley in the second round. I mean, in a 2 QB league, your second quarterback is Drew Brees. I mean, I love it. Darren Waller and Tyler Higbee in the 4th and 6th round, respectively. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think he has a bounce back year. I don't know if he has another, year like he did in 2018, but I do think he has a bounce back season. And then DK Metcalf, high upside. Brandon Cooks, she just got auto drafted along with Damian Williams. She also took Sony Michel. So it's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge rotational bit, and hopefully she hits on one of those running backs as the running back 2. But everywhere else, as far as the given scoring format, she's solid at at quarterback, and she's solid at tight end. Can't hate on that. And I think she had a good draft, and if that's how she goes and this is how it shakes up tomorrow, I think she's going to have herself a pretty solid team. I haven't gotten a chance to really talk about Zach Attack's team quite yet. Zeke Eliot. It's weird because we've kind of talked about on the Fantasy Focus podcast that Zeke Eliot has already contracted the coronavirus. Does that make him a little bit more valuable than a running back that is of similar value or similar skill set or similar rankings that hasn't contracted it yet? And that's an interesting conversation because Zeke has already contracted it. I don't know if, again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if you can catch it again, but you have to think that Ezekiel Elliott, if he's already caught it, you don't have to worry about him randomly missing an additional week or 2 in the middle of the season because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is something that maybe should be taken into consideration. But that's who Zach went with over every quarterback, and including Michael Thomas and every other running back. I mean, Aaron Jones, with the 8th pick of the 2nd round, just criminal. Goes with Matty Ice. Matt Ryan is a perennial top 10 quarterback, and unless the Atlanta Falcons somehow figure out how to play defense consistently, then Matt Ryan should still have to try to win shootouts on a regular basis. So Ryan makes sense as the quarterback 1. Then followed up, DeAndre Hopkins is the value pick of the draft, and then to go along with Adam Thielen, who probably finishes the year as a top 15 PPR wide receiver. Tyler Lockett has a chance to definitely finish inside the top 20, if not top 15. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, that's probably your weak spot as your quarterback too, but you have a second starting quarterback. So that is, that's what you need. Austin Hooper, great value in the 8th round. And I know that we don't know how the target share is going to shake out there in Cleveland, but Austin Hooper got a huge payday for a reason because he can ball out. And then AJ Green, high upside if he actually ends up playing in 2020. And then Tariq Cohen, all he did was finish last year as a top 30 PPR running back. And he's your running back 3 that you can fill in a pinch or for bye weeks or whatever service you would like to give Tariq Cohen. But good look at teams, Zach Attack. As we are now in the 11th round, I haven't quite caught up on everybody's picks yet. It's kind of weird going solo without Sam, but I'm trying my best here as we now have actually Zach Attack that jumped in and said, what are your thoughts on my team at the 5 spot? I honestly just now looked at the chat board and happened to find this comment. So perfect timing. We've got Victor Jace. Where do you see Njoku getting traded to? Well, definitely not Tampa Bay, but you start thinking of tight end needy spots. Maybe the Green Bay Packers could. As far as a need on a team, that actually makes sense. Marvin Jones Jr. just went, and CeeDee Lamb as well. CeeDee Lamb is someone I thought was the best wide receiver in this draft. It's a loaded draft class as far as wide receivers go, in my opinion. But yeah, that's one guy that I'm going to go to, though. And, as much as I would like to go ahead and go running back here, but I'm sitting here staring in the face. I think the guy that's probably going to lead the New York Jets in receptions, and that's Jamison Crowder. I'm going to go I have him in the 11th round as my 4th wide receiver. So, and then we see Alexander Madison, who is, I mean, if Dalvin Cook holds out, Zach Attack just got himself a lottery ticket that's punched in the 5th round or 11th round. So we see it come back around to Lauren, John Lab, and everybody else that has joined us for this podcast. Or this mock draft on Last Second Notice. I really appreciate it. Sam, I know, appreciates it. If you haven't yet done so, hit the subscribe button. We come out with fantasy football content on a regular basis. And I know I feel like I'm talking more than I've ever talked on one of these podcasts, but sometimes you got to go ahead and man the ship yourself. And if it's going down, you just got to go ahead and narrate it. Narration. If you haven't seen me, my last name's Tate. You get it. Tateism. Gotcha. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now that we have pretty much figured out the core of everybody else's team. Good luck in your Scott Fish Bowl 10 SFBX drafts tomorrow. I'm not a part of them, but it's been a hell of a lot of fun, and maybe I'll get an invite in the near future. But until next time, everybody, later, says the Tater.